In 6 years working at Disney parks, I watched the same pricing mistake cost families an average of $240 per trip. It happens in the first 90 minutes after you walk through those gates, and 85% of guests never realize it until they're already home, looking at their credit card statement, wondering where all the money went. And I know what you might be thinking. You've probably been to Disney enough times that you think you've figured out the system. Maybe you've watched every planning video. Maybe you've read every blog. But here's the thing. I wasn't a guest trying to crack the code from the outside. I was the guy wearing the name tag, standing at guest relations, watching the exact same mistakes happen every single day for 6 years straight. The money secrets that actually work. Most guests never ask about them because they don't even know they exist. My name is Marcus Reeve. I just left the Disney company after 6 years. Started as a quick service food and beverage cast member, moved into attractions, and spent my last 3 years at guest relations in the Magic Kingdom and over at Hollywood Studios. And now that I don't have a magical employer to protect, I can finally tell you what current cast members aren't allowed to. What I'm about to share aren't loopholes or scams. They're refunds, accommodations, comp policies, and pricing tricks built right into the system. Cast members at guest relations process them every single day. Disney just doesn't put them on the website. And they only work if you know the exact words to use when you ask. If you're already finding this interesting, do me a quick favor and hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. I've got a lot more Disney secrets coming, and I don't want you to miss them. So let me walk you through 7 Disney money secrets that will change how confidently you handle your next trip. Some of these will save you $100. Some will save you a few hundred. And one of them, the last one, is going to genuinely surprise you, even if you're a Disney veteran. Because here's what I learned in 6 years on the inside. The guests who walked out happiest weren't the ones who spent the most money. They were the ones who knew what to ask for and exactly when to ask for it. Let's get into it. Money secret number 1. This one happens in the first hour of your day, and it's the single biggest source of wasted money I saw during my time at Disney. When you walk into the park, you immediately get hit with the Genie Plus and Lightning Lane upsell. The cast members aren't pushing it. The signs are. The app is. Every screen you look at is nudging you toward purchasing it the moment you scan your Magic Band. Here's what most guests don't realize. The price of Genie Plus changes throughout the day based on demand. I watched it swing from $25 per person at park open to $15 per person by 11 in the morning on slower days. If you wait just 90 minutes to see how the crowds are actually moving, you'll often pay significantly less. Sometimes you'll realize you don't need it at all. But here's the part Disney really doesn't advertise. If you buy Genie Plus and the attractions you wanted are down for mechanical issues for an extended period, you can request a refund. Most guests just shrug it off. Walk to guest relations and say this exactly. 3 of the attractions I purchased Lightning Lane access for were down today. I'd like to request a Genie Plus refund for those reservations. I've processed hundreds of these. The standard adjustment is anywhere from partial to full refund, depending on how much of the day was affected. But if you don't ask, you get nothing. Money secret number 2. Dining reservations and the cancellation loophole. Disney charges a $10 per person no-show fee on most table service restaurants if you cancel less than 2 hours before your reservation. Guests panic about this constantly at my desk. They got stuck in a ride line. The kids had a meltdown. They ran late from the resort bus that broke down. Here's what nobody tells you. Cast members at guest relations can waive that fee. We do it all day long. But only if you come in person. Only if you explain the circumstance calmly. And only if your account doesn't show a history of late cancellations. The exact phrasing matters. Don't say I want a refund. Say this. We had a situation today that made us miss our reservation. I understand the policy, but I'd like to ask if there's any flexibility given the circumstances. 9 times out of 10, that fee disappears. I waived hundreds of them in my final year alone. But here's where it gets interesting. Dining reservations themselves are gold. If a restaurant you wanted is fully booked, walk up to that restaurant's host stand at exactly 45 minutes before the next major dining window opens. That's when no-shows from people too embarrassed to call and cancel start opening up. I watched guests walk into Be Our Guest, Cinderella's Royal Table, all of the hardest reservations to get, just by showing up at the right moment and asking politely if anything had opened up. Money secret number 3. The merchandise refund window most guests never use. Disney has a price adjustment policy that almost nobody knows about. If you buy something at a park shop and that same item goes on sale within 7 days of your purchase, you can request a price match refund for the difference. This includes the big Spirit jerseys, the popcorn buckets, the limited edition items, all of it. The reason this works is that Disney runs flash promotions and store-specific discounts constantly, and they don't want returns clogging up the system, so they built in this adjustment policy to keep guests happy. But they don't tell you about it. I had a woman come in with a receipt for a Loungefly backpack she'd bought for $90 on Monday. By Wednesday, the same backpack was 40% off in a different park shop. She had no idea she could request the difference. I refunded her $36 on the spot. Here's what you say. I purchased this item earlier in my trip, and I've noticed it's now available at a lower price. I'd like to request a price adjustment. Bring the original receipt. Bring a photo of the new price if you can. This takes about 3 minutes to process. Most guests would rather not bother. That's exactly what Disney is counting on. If this is genuinely helping you, do me a quick favor and hit that like button if you haven't already. Smash subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and turn on the notification bell. I post new Disney secrets every week, and I don't want you scrolling past them. Now let's keep going. Money secret number 4. The hotel room request that costs nothing but gets you hundreds in value. When you book a Disney resort, you can submit room requests through the app or by calling. Most guests submit generic requests like high floor or near the pool. These get ignored almost completely because every guest is asking for those. Here's what actually works. Specific, polite, and reasonable requests get assigned by the resort's room coordinator the morning of your arrival. I have friends who still work in resort operations, and they all say the same thing. The guests who write detailed but respectful requests get them honored at a far higher rate. But here's the real money secret. If your room has any issues at check-in, even small ones, like a stained carpet, a dripping faucet, a slow drain, a broken outlet, you can request to be moved. And when you're moved, you often get upgraded, because Disney has a complimentary upgrade inventory specifically for service recovery situations. I watched guests at Pop Century get moved to Riviera. I watched guests at All Star Music get moved to Coronado Springs, all because they reported a small problem on day 1. The exact words to use: "We just checked in and noticed an issue with the room." We don't want to make a big deal of it, but is there any availability to move us to a comparable room? The phrase comparable is what triggers the upgrade inventory. It tells the cast member you're not demanding an upgrade. You're asking for something equivalent, and often, the only equivalent room they have available is in a higher category. That's the magic word that does the work for you. Money secret number 5, PhotoPass and the digital download trick. Memory Maker is the PhotoPass package Disney sells for $210 if you buy it in advance, or $275 during your trip. It gives you unlimited photo downloads from every cast photographer and every ride camera in the parks. For families on a long trip, it pays for itself, but for short trips, it almost never does. Here's what nobody tells you. Every single photo you take with a PhotoPass photographer is automatically saved to your account, whether you bought Memory Maker or not. You can preview them in the app. You just can't download them without the package. But here's the key. If you decide on the last day of your trip that you want them all, you can buy Memory Maker on that final day and immediately download every photo from your entire trip. The package retroactively unlocks every single photo connected to your account. So the real strategy is this. Take photos with every PhotoPass photographer you encounter throughout your trip. Don't buy anything up front. On the last evening, open the app and review what you actually got. If the photos are great, buy Memory Maker that night and download them all. If they're not, you've saved yourself $200. Most guests buy the package on day one out of fear of missing out. They're paying for a guarantee they don't need. Money secret number 6. The dining plan math Disney really doesn't want you to do. When the dining plan is offered, the pitch sounds amazing. Pay one flat rate per day, and all your meals are covered. The cast members at the front desk make it sound like a no-brainer, but I watched families burn money on this plan for 6 straight years. And the math almost never works out the way they think. Here's the reality. The dining plan only pays off if you eat at the most expensive table service restaurants every single day. Order the highest priced entree on the menu, get dessert at every meal, and don't share anything. The moment you skip a dessert, share an appetizer with your kid, or grab a quick service meal instead of sitting down, the value evaporates. I had families come to my desk on day 3 of their trip, realizing they'd spent $1,200 on a dining plan and only consumed about $700 worth of food. They wanted to cancel. The answer was usually no. The plan locks in when you arrive. Before you book, do this. Look at the menus of the restaurants you're actually planning to eat at. Add up the realistic costs based on what your family will actually order. Compare that to the dining plan price. If you're not consistently above the plan cost every day, you're paying Disney for the privilege of overpaying. When the cast member tries to upsell you at check-in, just say, "I appreciate the offer, but I've done the math for how we actually eat, and I'll pass." Quick favor before we get to the last one and the biggest reveal, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. I'm telling you, the last secret on this list is the one that changed how I understood the entire Disney pricing system. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Money secret number 7. This is the big one. And this is what I really want you to understand. When you walk up to guest relations, the cast member behind that podium can see your entire Disney history. Your past visits, your spending patterns, your annual pass status, your complaint history, your dining reservations, even notes from previous interactions at other parks. Disney's internal system is one of the most sophisticated guest profiles in the entire entertainment industry. If you've been a respectful guest, if you've never abused the system, if you're polite and specific when you ask for something, that cast member has discretion to do things for you that aren't advertised anywhere. A complimentary FastPass return ticket, a meal voucher for a service issue, a merchandise credit, an upgrade to a higher-tier annual pass, even a free night at a resort in extreme service recovery cases. But that discretion vanishes the moment you become a problem guest. If you've yelled at a cast member, if your account is flagged for frequent complaints, if you've tried to game the system in obvious ways, that discretion closes up completely. We help you within policy and not 1 inch beyond. I had a dad come up to my desk once. His family had been to Disney World 8 times over 12 years. They'd had a tough morning. Their stroller had been moved during a ride. His daughter's autograph book had gotten soaked in a rain shower, and they'd missed their dining reservation because of a broken bus. He didn't yell. He didn't demand anything. He just calmly explained what had happened and asked if there was anything we could do to turn the day around. I gave that family 3 Lightning Lane returns, a replaced autograph book, a fresh stroller tag, and a complimentary dessert at their rescheduled dinner. Total value, probably $180, all because he was kind, specific, and his history showed he deserved it. But I also had a guy scream at me on day one of his vacation about a churro that wasn't hot enough. His account showed 3 prior complaints from previous trips, all about minor food issues. I refunded the churro, nothing more. Cast members want to help you, but you have to give them a reason to want to help you. Here's the thread running through everything I've told you today. Every single one of these money secrets works because Disney built flexibility into the system. They just don't advertise it. Cast members have discretion, policies have exceptions, refunds and adjustments are available, but only if you know they exist, and only if you ask the right way. Whether it's getting a Genie Plus refund when rides break down, getting a dining no-show fee waived, getting a price adjustment on merchandise, knowing when to skip the dining plan, or understanding what the cast member at guest relations can actually see when you walk up to that podium, it all comes down to knowing the system exists and approaching it with the right tone. That $240 pricing mistake I mentioned at the start of this video, the one that hits 85% of families, it happens because guests buy Genie Plus, the dining plan, and Memory Maker on day one, out of fear, before they have any idea what they actually need. You can avoid it with 3 sentences at check-in and a little patience in the first 90 minutes of your trip. You don't have to memorize all 7 of these. Pick the 2 or 3 that matter most for your next trip. Start there. Build your confidence. Because once you understand how the system actually works, Disney stops feeling like something that drains your bank account and starts feeling like something you actually have a say in. Here's what I learned in 6 years on the inside. The happiest guests weren't the ones who spent the most money. They were the ones who knew what to ask for and exactly when to ask for it. They were the ones who walked up to guest relations on day one instead of the last night of their trip. They were the ones who understood that the cast member behind that podium has more power to help them than they ever realized. If even one of these secrets saves you $100 on your next trip, then I did what I came here to do. Last thing before you go. If you got value out of this, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Next time, I'm going to walk you through the 3 sentences that got Disney guests upgrades I wasn't technically supposed to approve. You're not going to want to miss it.